Let's go. Sub 5. Sub 5 in game time. Sub 5. 5 on the dot for freaking real time, dude. Oh my god, let's go. Let's go.
3 days later.
I'm not allowed to get RSG world record. It won't happen. I'll never get RSG record. Is this a curse? It's literally a curse.
20 minutes later.
Thank you. Oh my god! I'm a legend! I'm a legend! I'm a legend! I'm a freaking legend! What? I'm a legend!
Hello everyone, it's Bescape, and what you just saw was Illumina achieving 2 new world records in Minecraft's main speedrunning categories, Any Set Seed Glitchless and Random Seed Glitchless. This is a pretty big deal considering both records were broken back to back within the same week, and he's the second person to have ever held both records at the same time, with Tarokitchen being the first person to do so about 5 years ago. Illumina's runs have also broken some new barriers, with Set Seed beaten in under 5 minutes and Random Seed beaten in under 24 minutes. New strategies have been found for each category, which definitely contribute to these times being lowered significantly, but the overall execution and RNG for these runs is unheard of. In today's video, I'll be discussing in detail how these world records were achieved, but before I do so, I'd like to clarify why Glitchless is the main category in Minecraft. There's a specific glitch called item duplication, and although it makes for extremely short speedruns, using the glitch to beat the game requires less skill compared to a glitchless run. One of the methods involves dropping the items for duplication, and then saving and quitting. Reload the world, pick up the items, and press Alt F4 about 5 seconds later. Relaunch the game, reload the world, and the items should be duplicated. This is the main reason why any percent runs on the leaderboards are basically a ghost town, with submitted runs ranging from 1 to 5 years ago. The other thing I want to quickly mention is that there are 2 subcategories for speedruns, pre 1.9 and 1.9+. Any version of Minecraft past patch 1.8.9 is an entirely different speedrun. There are new combat mechanics, strongholds that are on average 2.5 times further away compared to 1.8.9 and below, a different end fight, Ender Dragon skip, and much more. Because of this, the community mainly runs the pre 1.9 subcategory, although this doesn't quite make 1.9+ dead. It's still just as challenging, but being able to skip specific challenges such as the Ender Dragon is sort of anticlimactic. Now that I have the category variations covered, let's jump right into our first one, Set Seed Glitchless. Runners are required to have a special seed to generate the world, and this is the one that's currently used. It's currently the best known seed for this category, but it's still possible for a faster seed to be discovered. After all, there are 2 to the 64 power possible seeds in Minecraft, or 18 quintillion. The items needed for this run are shears, a bucket, flint and steel, leaves, 4 beds, snowballs, 1 blaze rod, and 1 ender pearl. Shears are used to obtain leaves and wool, with leaves serving as building blocks throughout the run, and wool to craft beds. Instead of mining obsidian to create the nether portal, a bucket of water can be used in conjunction with a lava pool to create it. In addition, a bucket of water can also save a player from fire or fall damage, and can also be used to reach higher blocks. Flint and steel not only ignite the portal, but can also cook sheep. The 1 blaze rod from the nether will be used with 1 ender pearl found in the stronghold to create the final eye of ender. 12 are needed total, and this seed already comes with 11. But wait, wouldn't runners want to run this category with a 12-eye seed? While this would totally skip the nether and save a lot of time, there's one problem. If a 12-eye seed is ran on any version of Minecraft below 1.9, it will soft lock the game. A 12-eye seed is actually used in the Set Seed 1.9+ category. It wasn't until 1.9 when the developers fixed the bug. Anyways, once at the end, the strategy to kill the Ender Dragon has historically been the same. Snowballs are used to destroy the pillars, and when the dragon charges, you place down a bed along with a block in front of you and not too far away from the bed. This is to prevent death from explosive damage. The explosion will damage the dragon, and it will eventually die if this method is repeated. In the last 3 weeks, Illumina, the Sizzler, and MathoX have all been grinding down their times. MathoX held the record at 5 minutes and 29 seconds over the last 6 months, until the Sizzler broke it by 16 seconds on January 30th, 2020. On the very next day, Illumina achieved a new personal best by 33 seconds and was only 9 seconds behind the Sizzler. The recent surge of new personal bests and a world record trade was because of a new route that was discovered when the world record was still at a 5:29 and it could save at least 20 seconds. Instead of finding sheep and iron past the lava pool, the new route is to find them near spawn. The sheep cluster from the old route also has a chance to spawn in as horses, and it's random if they do. It's basically an automatic reset if this happens, since backup sheep are a bit far. The sheep cluster in the new route can die by wolves, but it's way more rare than the chance of getting horses in the old route, so it's technically better. In the past, 4 beds were required for the end fight, but as little as 2 beds can be used now thanks to the crystal strat. If the dragon charges while you're standing next to a crystal, the explosion will deal extra damage. However, it's very inconsistent, since you would have to hope for some pillars to be low enough to where you can build your way up them with only a few blocks. It's also pure RNG as to how many pillars spawn in the end. Even though we're on set seed, the end's pillar logic is still completely random. It could be as low as 5 or as high as 17 for example. Active pillars regenerate the dragon's health, so a run with too many pillars will waste time. Even though this strategy is inconsistent, its time save potential cannot be ignored, and with how short this category is, it's required for a world record. So with a new route and potential time saves, it wouldn't be long until the first ever sub 5 minute run was achieved, which is exactly what Illumina did on February 10th, 2020. He used the new sheep and iron route, and only crafted 2 beds in the hopes of being able to execute the crystal strat at least twice. When I asked him about the nuances of set seed, he referred to the god time, which refers to near perfect execution and the best RNG possible. If this were to happen, the new god time would be around the 420 to 430 mark, whereas before in the old route, it would barely crack sub 5. So there is still room for improving the time lower, but it will require extremely good execution with mad RNG in the end. Nonetheless, this is the first ever sub 5 minute time in set seed, and it's an 8-second difference compared to the second place time, which is a new personal best from MathoX that was achieved on February 13th, 2020. I wish the best of luck to the runners in improving this time even further, and who knows, it might even happen at the French speedrunning event that's taking place on February 22nd, 2020. Minecraft Any Set Seed Glitchless will be one of the runs featured, and I'll have a link in the description if you'd like to learn more. Moving on to the random seed glitchless category, allow me to catch you up to speed with what has happened over the last 6 months. It all started with Lide's 25 minute and 36 second time, in which it dethroned the 5-year streak of Tarokitchen holding the record. It was a full 1 minute and 12 second time save over Taro's run, and this was made possible because of a near perfect Nether Fortress location, and the fact that Lide found 13 Endermen within 15 minutes, and 10 of them dropped Ender Pearls. Enderman luck such as this had never been seen in a random seed run before. Fast forward to November 27th, 2019, Lide clutched a new personal best of 24 minutes and 56 seconds. So how was he able to shave off an additional 40 seconds? It's quite possible that he just had insane luck again, however he implemented a new strategy called Tower, and it's a structure built in the desert for Ender Pearl farming. It's a 3x3 base made out of wooden slabs with leaves on top of them. This is so a player can attack mobs, but they cannot attack back because of the gap. The middle is dug out with a lava pit, a chest, and a ladder. The lava pits will serve as a death warp, so of course a chest will be needed to safely store items. On all sides of the base, leaves are placed so that if a player has to run out and aggro Enderman, they can jump onto a leaf and back into the base safely. About half a dozen leaves are stacked, followed by any 2 full solid blocks with ladders placed on them. What follows this is a giant tower of 128 blocks from the slab base, with a bed placed on top. Minecraft's logic is for hostile mobs to despawn if there are no players within a distance of 128 blocks. A player sleeps in the bed for a slight moment, and then jumps down to the 2 ladders. No fall damage will be dealt, and a new group of mobs are spawned in. Once all nearby Endermen are slain, you jump into the lava pit. This will death warp a player to the bed that's at the top of the tower, as it now acts as the respawn point. It's rinse and repeat until the desired amount of Ender Pearls are obtained, which is usually 10 to 12. It was thought for a while that this method was slower compared to the old method because of the amount of preparation, but it turns out it's faster and more reliable since you can literally force Endermen to spawn rather than hope for enough to spawn during the nighttime. During Lide's reign as random seed world record holder, Illumina started grinding out runs, lowering his PB from a 27.23 down to a 24.58, only 2 seconds behind Lide. Then on February 13th, 2020, the seemingly impossible happened. He clutched out the first ever 23 minute time, beating Lide's time by 1 minute and 3 seconds. He had a pretty good Enderman grind at the tower, but what put his run over the top was the fact the random seed he got was the best seed the community has ever seen. It's hard to give a probability on just how rare it is, but let's break it down and you can decide. First, he spawns next to a savanna and a desert biome. This is already a good start, he can obtain wood right away, and he doesn't have to go out exploring for a desert. Although he doesn't find exposed iron straight away, he does find a cave a minute into the run, and finds a cluster of 5 iron ore. 9 iron is needed in total for all the tools that are obtained in Set Seed, plus an iron sword and iron shovel, so he explores for about another minute and finds 4 more. He also obtains the usual gravel, which will be used later in the run. He finds some cows early, which give him a great source of food for the entire run. While he's smelting the rest of his iron, he gathers more wood which will be used to create wooden planks and slabs, ladders, a chest, and a boat. The boat is for in case he needs to traverse over water for any reason, so it doesn't hurt to make one just in case. He begins to use the shears to obtain a few stacks of leaves, and makes his way into the desert. What would have been absolutely insane is if he found a desert temple, because they're a good source for wool. He doesn't find one, but a lava pit is discovered, so now he can go into the nether. He steps out, and yeah, a near perfect fortress location. Locations such as these only come at about a 1 in 30 rate, so the run is looking pretty clean so far. The following step in the run has always stayed the same: kill blazes while using the shovel on gravel to obtain flint, which will be used with feathers to make arrows. This is by far the most efficient location to do this step. He gets 6 blaze rods, goes back into the overworld, and still no desert temple. But he finds an insane spawn of sheep and chickens in the same exact location. When this happens, you pretty much kill 2 birds with 1 stone, obtain wool from the sheep, and obtain feathers from the chickens. This is what Illumina had to say once he sees this.
Wait, this is a god run. Wait, this run's actually a god run. Dude, this run is actually stupid. What the heck? Alright, nerves are coming. I'm feeling the nerves.
Alright, so now we're approaching nighttime, and he builds the tower. After some death warping, he gets the desired amount of ender pearls in about 5 minutes, but he could have slightly saved some time if it wasn't for an ender pearl accidentally being burned in between death warps. Nonetheless, he retrieves his bed, and now it's time to escape. He runs out and throws the first Eye of Ender. He takes a lot of damage due to a ton of mobs being around, but he manages to retrieve the eye. Keep in mind that eyes have a 20% chance of shattering, and there is a 37.7% chance the end portal frames only contain 1 Eye of Ender, and this probability drops down to 28.2% for 0, 23% for 2, 8.52% for 3, 2.53% for 4, or a total of 0.433% for 5 or more. Minimizing how many eyes you're throwing is absolutely required because you need to have enough to be able to even complete the run. Also, real quick, when he throws the first eye, look at what direction it's going towards. Towards the tower, right? We'll get to that in a moment. After some time, he throws the second eye, and he's actually past the stronghold. So now he starts to backtrack, and after a couple more throws, he says this.
It was so close. I mean, how was I supposed to know, right? Is it like literally at like the tower? I think it's like at the tower. What the heck?
And this happens. He was literally above the stronghold the entire time. Not to mention, there were 5 eyes in the frames, which is a 1 in 231 chance. Of course, there was no way he could have known this ahead of time. He stated that close strongholds are a blessing and a curse. If an eye is thrown and goes towards the general spawn direction, that usually means the stronghold was in the opposite direction of spawn, which is a painful time loss. However, he's extremely happy that he threw the second eye when he did, because he could have traveled a couple hundred more blocks before realizing it was in the opposite direction the entire time. He also stated the eye was kind of going back in the direction of spawn in such a way, he thought the stronghold was going to be much further. This is a never before seen case in which a runner was at the correct spot all along. But as stated before, you can't really spam the eyes, so he played it correctly. Anyways, he crafts his arrows, gets into the end, and starts to destroy the pillars. It's not recommended to use the crystal strat in this category, as it's only viable for set seed since the run is extremely short and it's the only way to achieve solid times. Random seed isn't to the point where a god time without crystal strat has been achieved, so it's back to the original 4-bed strat. And just like that, Illumina clutches it and achieves a 23 minute and 53 second time. This seed was absolutely insane. The close nether fortress, sheep and chicken spawns, a criminally close stronghold, a 5-eye portal, and an extra ender pearl in the chest next to the portal room was all disgustingly rare. He later stated that this run could have possibly been a sub 20, but all that mattered was achieving a new world record. A huge congratulations to Illumina and the Minecraft speedrunning community for crushing this game even further. I tried my best to explain everything in a way that a non-Minecraft player or speedrunner could understand, so if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a big fat thumbs up. It helps this video reach recommended. A big thanks to Illumina for collaborating with me for this video. He's the reason I was able to explain everything accurately. I've linked his YouTube and Twitch channels in the description, and also the Minecraft speedrunning Discord, so definitely check them out. I would totally love to work on more Minecraft speedrunning content, so let me know in the comments if you're down to see it. That's all from me today. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Raps on backs and treasure maps, stacks to the ceiling fan. He rests on his ashes. Ask him after 10 miles in his galoshes. Smash his stashes. Chip on his shoulder with a slip-on holster. A clip, a folder, and his grip on a molder bolster. They supposed to know. It's showing.